Everyone in the village laughed at Adanna. They said her ears were too big, like elephant wings. Children threw stones, women whispered behind her back, and even the elders called her tears of shame. But what they didn't know was that those ears could hear something no one else could. And one night, when death crept into the village silently, only Adanna heard it coming. In the heart of a dry, dusty village called Unbeatable, where baobab trees stood like silent watchers and goats roamed freely, lived a young girl named Adanna. She was just 12 years old, small in size, quiet in nature, but her ears, they stretched out unusually wide and long. Her mother said it was a gift from the gods. But the villagers didn't believe that. They believed she was cursed. Everywhere she went, people laughed. Children followed her, mocking her walk. The boys would flap their hands beside their heads and say, "Watch out, the wind is coming, Adanna's flying again." She stopped going to the market. She stayed home more. Her father had died when she was a baby, so it was just her and her mother, Mama Ifioma, who always said, "My daughter, sometimes the things people mock are the very things the gods will use." But those words didn't comfort Adanna anymore. Not after she ran home one day, crying, because a group of boys tied banana leaves to her ears and danced around her like fools. One evening, something strange happened. Adanna was sitting outside, grinding cassava beside her mother, when her ears twitched. A sharp sound rang inside her head. It wasn't close, it felt like it came from far, very far. But she could hear it clearly. A low, slow chant. Drums beating softly. Feet marching. She froze. "Mama," she whispered. "Can you hear that?" Mama Ifioma looked around. "Hear what?" Adanna stood up. "There are people coming, warriors. I hear them. They're chanting. They're not from this village." Her mother dropped the cassava. "Are you sure?" Adanna nodded. "Yes. They are 10 hills away. Maybe less. They are coming with swords. I hear the blades touching each other." Mama Ifioma's face turned pale. She knew her daughter didn't lie. She also knew the child's ears had always been different. "Go call the chief," she said quickly. The chief, an old man named Obi-Yugo, laughed at first when Adanna spoke. "My child, how can you hear warriors 10 hills away? Even hawks can't hear that far." But Mama Ifioma stood firm. "Please, just send scouts to check. If she's wrong, punish us. But if she's right..." The chief rubbed his beard. "Fine. I'll send 2 men." The scouts rode off into the night. Hours passed. People gathered at the square, waiting. Some still mocked Adanna. "Maybe her ears are hearing ghosts," one woman sneered. But just before dawn, the scouts returned, sweaty, bleeding, and breathless. "They are coming," one shouted. "A full band of raiders from the east. They've already burned 3 villages." Gasps filled the square. People began to scream. The chief stood up and raised his staff. "If not for this girl, we would have been slaughtered in our sleep. Her ears saved us." Suddenly, everything changed for Adanna. Wherever she walked, people stepped aside respectfully. The same boys who used to throw stones now brought her gifts, groundnuts, honey, woven bracelets. The chief invited her to sit among the elders during meetings. And when people heard strange sounds in the night, they didn't look to the hunters or warriors, they looked to Adanna. But with new respect came new fears. One night, Adanna heard something even stranger, cries. Not human ones. These were deep, echoing, like a storm begging for help. It came from the forbidden forest, the one no one dared enter. They said spirits lived there. Demons. Adanna told her mother. The spirits are crying. Mama, Ifeoma grew uneasy. Don't speak of such things. But Mama, they need help. No. Some things are not meant to be heard, Adanna. But Adanna couldn't sleep. For days, she heard the cries, and they grew louder, sadder. It felt like something terrible would happen if she ignored them. Finally, she packed a small bag of water and kola nuts. At dawn, she slipped away, walking barefoot toward the forest. The villagers saw her and screamed. No, Adanna. Come back. That place is cursed. But she didn't turn. Her ears guided her deeper and deeper into the forest, past twisted trees and dark mist. She followed the sound until she reached a cave covered in vines. The cries were louder now. She stepped in. Inside, she found a creature, not quite human, not quite beast. It had glowing eyes and broken wings. Chains wrapped around its ankles. When it saw her, it stopped crying. Who are you? Adanna whispered. I am the guardian of echoes, the creature said. I was trapped here by greedy kings who feared my power. Only someone with ears of truth could hear my pain. Why were you crying? She asked. Because the earth is breaking, it said. The ground below your village is sick. Soon, it will open. Fire will rise. You must warn them. Adanna ran back. She reached the village by nightfall, sweating, breathless, and shaking. But this time, no one laughed. When she told them what the guardian said, the elders dug deep into the ground near the village's edge. There, they found hot cracks, smoke, and shifting stones. We must leave, the chief said. This land is dying. Within days, the whole village relocated to higher ground. A week later, the earth where Umadim once stood opened with a terrible roar, swallowing everything in fire and ash. If not for Adanna, none would have survived. From that day on, Adanna was no longer just the girl with big ears. She was called Oni Nti Choku, the one who hears the gods. She helped other villages too. She heard the cries of lost children in forests, the approach of storms before clouds gathered, and even the silent thoughts of hearts breaking in the dark. Her ears were no longer a shame, they were the village's greatest blessing. So the next time someone laughs at your difference, remember Adanna. The girl they mocked became the voice of salvation. What they saw as shame was the mark of the divine. But what Adanna didn't know was that someone close to her was planning to betray her. Don't miss part 2.